Hello and welcome back for Game 2, where CLG Academy is out to a lead after a Game 1 victory, and it felt so good on that red side. They're going to roll it back and do it again. Red side for CLG in Game 2.
I think this is the most I've ever seen of series where it just stays on the same side the entire series.
Yeah.
We saw it once in quarters, I think, once in semis, maybe twice in semis. We saw it in the NALCS quarters, and now in the finals, it looks like we're on pace for that again, as, like you said, CLG opting for the counter picks, and
Yeah.
I like what I saw. I mean, it's basically like you pick something and then we counter pick, but not with like a lane smashing counter that we need to snowball with. Just we get better team fight, you know, and that's a different way than we've seen counter pick being used before. And I'm curious if CLG are going to stick along that game plan of using counter picks to secure decent lanes but better team fights.
Right, and will it always be for Fallen Bandit? And does that mean C9's continuously, I guess it was an AD and a top laner, but did they start to focus him a little bit more to make sure he doesn't get a Cho'Gath or anything else tanky? So many questions, a few answers coming through already. The Galio's gone, the Braum is gone. They already take quite a bit of HP out, and there is the Akali that was in Game 1.
Kind of heard the analyst desk debating whether or not they were going to get rid of that, but if we're thinking about the we want tanks and team fight, then I can see why they would not want to play the LeBlanc counterpick into it, and they opt instead to ban it after the Galio gets taken out. And we'll see where they go from here, because the Kai'Sa is the thing that gets left up, and this secures you basically the best late game team fighting marksman in the game right now, and C9 decide they want that for themselves.
Interesting. As well as this works in CLG's favor, Kai'Sa pick could have been anything, but having that Akali pretty much gave CLG the idea that that would be a Kai'Sa. What are we playing against it? That Varus is left up this time, and that will be in the hands of Otto, his most played bot lane marksman this split.
Also, pairing with the Alistar, looks like they're going for a pretty aggressive lane that can poke people out, get control of it, and then dive relatively easily. So that makes sense against the Kai'Sa, who you're trying to stop from scaling. We'll see if that game plan actually works out, but already potentially cascading effects from how these bans went, as Gragas not being able to be taken in the first spot.
It's funny, I said they don't match jungle pools too much. Gragas was the one, but Svenskeren did get out of the trundle last time. This time he's like, give me back the Gragas. Golden Glue locks in the mid lane, so we are kind of completely mismatched here in our phase 1.
Yeah, very quickly. We'll see if they go the rest of the way.
Yeah.
They can potentially match the junglers at least, and then it's just support versus mid lane. Or, I mean, the mid lane Lulu's been a little while since we've seen some Lulu. It's basically since the beginning of the split, week 1, week 2, I think we were seeing Lulu's mid.
Oh, do it. Lock it in.
I'm glad he didn't, Rip. I don't know why you're looking for support Lulu mid. That's always so boring to me.
It's funny. I love watching Lulu play. I love savior plays like Zillions and Lulus and something that'll keep you alive. But right at the last moment, you know the opposing team is pulling their hair out. So we don't get a mid laner on the side of CLG. That can be pinched in here from Cloud9, and vice versa. We could see support getting pinched for C9.
Does look like that will be the case. Interesting, the Sejuani over the Trundle.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, Trundle is seen as a little bit more of a power pick. But Gragas is someone who doesn't build that many resists early on. And I think for CLG, it's very important for Wiggly to have some control over the team fights. And Trundle is not great for doing that. We saw in the previous game one time, Svenskeren was like, I want to fight now. And he tried to run in as a Trundle and it just kind of got kited out. Whereas Sejuani, she whips that ultimate at someone's face. You're starting to fight.
It's an interesting point because his plays are 4 Trundle, 4 Gragas, 2 Camille, 2 Graves, and then you get down into 1 or 2 Sejuani. So feels like it'll definitely help for those fight positions in this one, as we see the mid lane being focused and support as we expected here in phase 2. Syndra will start things off, as Tuesday is going to get a very wheelhouse pick for himself now in that damage aspect.
Right, his 3rd most played over the course of this split. It's a very good champion for him because it has a really strong laning phase, which is potentially, if you were going to point to one of his weaknesses, maybe the laning phase would be it. But this is a relatively safe matchup, assuming you don't get ran down by an Olaf that just showed up in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely awesome lock in here. So a bit of flex to be thought about, but then you say, oh, Olaf to the jungle. Could see Shiro going crazy on the Gragas on the top side.
Yeah, actually.
Or Poppy. I mean, yeah, so Gragas bot side with that.
I actually think it'll be a Gragas top and a support Poppy. Support Poppy was a counter pick back in the day.
That was a thing.
To Alistar. So we'll see. There's a lot that they can do here. The Olaf is definitely in the jungle.
My word. I like it.
Who knows? Maybe it's all
Game
off top.
2 is spicy coming in from Cloud9 here. We have the Gangplank going in for Fallen Bandit. His Mundo was not even banned this game, and he still didn't go to it. Top plays for him, just about 10, I believe 9 plays overall so far. He did have one in the LCS, so we can add it to 10. But this, I feel like CLG's got a pretty decent composition for themselves. A complete flip from game 1, so you have to think, are they ready to play that style now? And then C9 kind of just throwing in what they were ready to pick. It doesn't look like they've reacted to anything in a pick-wise.
Yeah, this is a weird draft. I'm wrapping my mind around it slowly. We'll see if they flex that one more time. Okay, I actually do like
20 seconds there, yeah.
Yeah, so Poppy staying up in the top lane, I actually like that more. As much as I was talking about the Poppy can go bot lane to Alistar. While it does deny what some of the Alistar wants to do against a Varus, you are providing 0 lane threat. Like, you are doing nothing as a Poppy in that matchup, and so I don't think you want the Poppy bot lane. So it makes sense the Gragas is actually the one that goes down there. You have your Q to harass and poke out, whereas Poppy really doesn't have anything. So this is a better protection for the Kai'Sa to begin scaling up. The Poppy in the top side, you got the GP counter pick into it. You knew it was going to be up against a tank, whether it was Gragas or Poppy. Yeah. It doesn't matter too much to the GP. He's going to be farming either way. And so you kind of end up with a very tanky team comp now for C9 with some snowball potential around the mid lane or kind of wherever Olaf decides to charge down. And on the flip side, the side of CLG are going to have a pretty heavy pick comp between Syndra, Varus, and Sejuani. If you land one of those CCs, you can basically land the rest of them.
Well, let's see. Once we get into game, I'm excited to see how this bot lane, this Gragas and this Kai'Sa play. I'm always favored towards being able to put objects in lane and leave them for a certain amount of time. You can make your opponent move where you want. And if you can start tagging plasmas with Kai'Sa, because you're leaving barrels in the back, pushing them outside the minion wave, she has a much better ability to get that damage on to start the fight. So it'll be interesting to see how they use it.
Yeah, I think it was Jat who was talking about, as he saw the 8-16 changes, was expecting the team comps to drift more towards the protect the back line, kind of front-to-back team fighting, lots of tanks, team comps, and that's kind of what C9 has shifted to here from their first game comp with an assassin in the mid lane. I mean, even the Ryze can get pretty tanky, so you have effectively 3.5 tanks and bruisers plus a Kai'Sa, reminiscent of the comp last game.
All right, so Svenskeren once again on an in-your-face jungler, but much more ready to fight here in the early game, especially against Wiggly's Sejuani. As we see what teleports are actually on the board this time. Still going to have one in the hands of Auto. CLG switched from 3 teleports around the map to 2 here in the second game of the series. And not matched totally, but just Shiro's teleport on the other side.
Yeah, the flex of the Olaf from the Gragas, I don't know if Tuesday would have taken the TP or the cleanse, but I think the Olaf definitely kind of secured, like, I need to cleanse in this matchup, because if the Ryze runs up on me and roots me for an act slow, I'm just dead. So I think he was going to take TP until that flex came in. So that's probably why you see one less. Because I think otherwise the Syndra might feel confident enough in the Ryze matchup to take the TP.
There was one of our questions, or one of our points, that KDA and kill participation definitely went up for Tuesday last game.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of those mathematics. Keith, Fang pushing up on that lane, looking for a quick level 2 as they deny the back 3 caster minions for now. And it looks like they'll be able to grab it here as the minion wave is just outside the turret.
Yep, gonna kind of concede that push early on. It's a little hard because if Alistar wants to walk forward and pull the wave, that's the only way you can really match the poke that the Gragas has early on. And that's why I was saying I preferred seeing the Gragas early on. You are much better at contributing to a laning phase to support someone by just threatening more space, whereas the Poppy's like, you can't headbutt pulve me, but I can't do anything either, and now your Varus is just winning the matchup. Yeah. If you flip the Marksman, it's actually a good pick once again, because you can stop the Alistar from going in and isolate the Marksman matchup, but if you have a losing Marksman matchup, that's not what your support should be doing.
Feels good to fight. Sometimes you have to temper it. A little push up. Ooh, made him miss the cannon. I like it. Level 5 comes through and he uses all 3 in rapid succession to take Golden Glue down. And they begin chugging their corrupting potions. Tuesday still yet to use his dematerializer as they're pushing forward these waves. It probably would have been on that first cannon, to be honest.
Yep, still waiting for it to come off, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. So he would not have used it on the first cannon. Maybe that's why he's a professional player.
Oh,
hiding off on the wing.
Yeah.
Wiggly can't get any tag on. Would have been a great time with Golden Glue low on resources.
This is actually really good though, because it's baiting the bot lane into thinking the Olaf was on the top side, but he's actually bot.
Kind of a replay of game one here. Are the teleports enough to come in, though? Wiggly is just on the outside. Phil with the ignite on. One last shot on the flash forward. Phil's gonna live.
Here's Wiggly.
They're gonna be able to turn it around. Otto firing the shots in, turning C9 into pin cushions. And it's gonna be the first kill onto Keith. Fang, 200 HP from going down, but the summoners are used, and the kills are locked down by Logic Gaming.
Not able to actually get in there for that play. FLICKR took a very interesting path. CLG was expecting the map to be split, so when you had Golden Glue running up in the top lane, River Brush, they thought, okay, that's where he is, and that kind of baited their bot lane to going aggressive, and it felt like C9, for the second game in a row, you heard Meteor say, it looked like a good gank, but Phil was able to kite out long enough for Otto to drop enough damage, and for Wiggly to collapse all the way from the mid lane down.
It was, right? They've had this last time. We know this dance, it's just you have to do it this time.
Yeah, so Fang's gonna start this off. Nice headbutt by Phil, actually.
Yeah, deny that.
Yeah, not only buy him space, but also puts FLICKR out of the fight. So that was actually a super good headbutt by Phil. Wiggly, I think it looks like he might have messed up the Q just a little bit there, but they're able to take one kill back in a situation that should have been a 1-0 on the other team's favor. So, I mean, CLG once again punishing the bot lane aggression.
It was a really nice choice denying FLICKR his undertow pickup. CC was lacking. And this now puts it 1-0. And this time for CLG, not all of the map had to be used for that game. You could stay in lane, the CS has not been lost throughout that fight. And they're sitting in a little bit better position here. Not too much of a lead, it has been spent by Otto as he comes back with a scepter, so he can start playing in that position to take a few more of these casks, not be too worried about it.
Definitely the case. A little bit of sustain will be helpful. And going for the lethal tempo marksman attack speed Varus makes a lot of sense to this team comp, like we said. Sometimes nice to get the poke damage from the arcane comment and the lethality Varus, but feels like this is a series that's going to come down to a lot of team fighting.
Yeah. Just want to be able to keep firing shots in. It's going to happen fast, especially with Golden Glue on the machine gun mage. A little hex flash from both guys coming out. I love the camaraderie between these guys in a World Finals matchup.
I wonder if it's a bit of a game of chicken, because like you don't, when you start channeling it, you can kind of choose where it goes. So like you might start with yours forward, then you see his channel his, then you move yours to back, and I want to see a situation where both actually end up hex flashing forwards and putting themselves right next to each other, thinking the other guy was going to go backwards.
Like, oh, sorry, walk away.
Yeah, like, I didn't actually want to fight.
No real initiation. Things are quiet on the map other than our first gank on the bot side.
Whoa, there's a hex flash.
Maybe not. There's the hex flash coming through. Fang all the way over on the other side as they go back and forth. Very, very low for Keith and FLICKR. A few more shots would take him out, but they don't have the range to do the damage. And a gank thwarted once again by Logic Gaming.
That was very scary for C9. That easily could have been a 2-0 and some huge turret damage. I mean, they are getting out of these situations by the skin of their teeth. That was another one that easily could have gone the other way, and it all started with that hex flash by Phil. We were talking about, you just kind of spam it in lane. They get accustomed to seeing it, and suddenly they
this one's real.
Yeah, you don't know which one actually you're flying at their face to kill them, and that is what kicked that off. And doesn't actually get any resources out other than the GP ultimate, so it kind of actually worked out okay for C9. Did lose a minion wave under the turret, though.
Not a lot of action from these two so far on the top side. 48-42. We see that cannon barrage up now, which they will have to be ready for on the side of Cloud9 if they keep these engages going down on the bot side of the map. And a much different game overall from what we saw from that top side pressure last time. Wiggly focusing bottom, knowing he's got to be there, FLICKR. We saw Wiggly up top at least 3 or 4 times by now in the game one.
Yeah, definitely a different pace to this game. It still feels like a lot of it comes down to who can break open a bot lane turret first.
Yeah, that's true. Break that lane out.
Yeah, if you can never do that. Last time we saw that CLG was able to split the map. This time we'll see if they choose to do that. C9 are the ones a little bit on the back foot.
Call for Bandit. He is just looking to cash in this game. The bank plank play. There you see 13 gold coming up immediately just off a parlay.
He knows that they're going bot lane. He's like, no one's coming to gank me. I don't need to finish my Sheen or to try and kill my Poppy. I'm never getting a gank this game. It is someone you can actually gank for kind of easily with the Sejuani as you can start applying the passive for her, but still Poppy is not the ideal target. As much as you might want to get the extra influx of gold onto the GP, it's pretty difficult.
Slow rotato up here from Otto and Phil. What do they have in mind? First time we've really broken a lane. We're just talking about the turret being a very big thing to start on as a priority. Mind games being played as Otto's gonna grab himself some honey fruits. Stay healthy.
Yep, they didn't know if they were starting the dragon or not, or he was just doing it to get that 200 damage harass down. Either way, pretty cute play there.
Ooh. Must be no scatter right now, but knows they have that inside line. I wouldn't even say knows. That was a pretty aggressive play from Golden Blue, actually. They don't have too much vision below them.
Yeah, it did have the ward kind of in the river to know that no one was going to be wrapping behind him at least. He had a lot of vision control around mid, but like you said, you don't quite know where the bot lane is exactly. Did kind of know the timing of the blue buff handoff, given the pathing though.
67 to 79 here. Otto's been able to do a good job at keeping Fang and Keith at bay after that initial gank in the bot side, and it's not happening at all as I thought I would. I thought Fang would leave more barrels just kind of out in the lane, let him charge, try not to push the wave, of course, but at least distract CLG with it more. But that's also giving up an ability, so you could just be asking for more fights. It's an interesting lane altogether.
Yeah, as well as the fact that when you're playing this Gragas, you don't really have any of the, we got a big...
Second thoughts now going through the head of C9. Nice dodge and scat of the week. A blast back. FLICKR in there. But Tuesday buying a little bit of room as he gets pushed into the wall. CLG Phil gets into a good spot, but it looks like he gets taken down. Glacial Prison onto one. Hex Flash. Not charged up fast enough to get over the wall, and Phil goes down.
Nice reaction by C9 there, especially Fang, realizing that the side of CLG had gone a little too deep, getting the blowback onto Phil, who had the ultimate to try and kite it out, but could not quite do it. C9 answer back. Both teams' aggression getting punished here.
Nice bit of front-end nuke damage from that barrel for Fallen Bandit. Can he keep it going, though, is the question. A quick shield for Shiro just makes it a nuisance to play against. You can't continuously add that damage in. Just a few shots. So annoying for Shiro, too. So much credit to players that just kind of do this and don't get mentally offset by knowing you're taking auto after auto in lane. I should say ability after ability.
Yep, Fallen Bandit really raking in those grasp procs, but now he's going to get some attention finally.
All that work, making Fallen Bandit feel good. The false sense of security. The Keeper's Verdict knocks him up. Almost a hit for Golden Glue, but he comes just short to the party as the teleport is used. And finished towards top side. It is. Otto is there.
Yeah, Otto actually completes that one, so I guess they're going to rotate their bot lane to the top side. Phil was making his way up there as well, and so they're going to just kind of swap the lanes around. We do have Rift Herald available. Maybe they're prioritizing that as well. Let's see what they choose to do.
Little too much action for bot side. The ADs are like, hey, we just want to farm. We want to play a little bit towards the turrets and break this map open.
You guys remember 2v1s? Those were relaxing. Let's get back to that.
Not anymore. Quickly, Keith and Fang are towards the top side. Little lateral play here from Golden Glue, but he almost puts himself right in between Wiggly and Tuesday. Nice choice to walk back down to safety. Yeah,
using that phase rush as well as the move speed you get in the kit to make sure I'm not really in the middle of the lane. I'm going to get up there really quickly.
Oh, hello. Nice little find there.
Just annoying Tuesday from going back. And that bot lane play that happened, just to talk about that a little bit, you were mentioning the Gragas barrel spam. It's actually, you don't get to build any mana regen or any mana items, whereas normally Jungle Gragas has his upgrade, and laners in top and mid will start with some kind of Glacial Shroud or Abyssal Mask or something that's going to kind of give you some mana regen. You don't get any in the bot lane, so you get a couple barrels to poke with, but from then on you have to keep it for your combo, and by the end of that replay, or the bot lane play, you're actually out of mana. So you need to kind of know to hover around that, like, I think it's like 500 mana mark or something to get your full combo off. And
makes it rough.
Yeah, it's not. Hey, it's one of those things that we don't see that that often anymore, where people are actually gated by mana. And unfortunately, bot lane Gragas does feel that a little bit.
For a reason. You could imagine what it would be like if you did have to deal with barrels charged up all day on your back caster line. So annoying to have half of the lane to walk in, back and forth. Quick wards around Shelly. Looks like they'll do a little bit of vision control and deny the security that Cloud9 Gaming has put down. And even more, Scuttle Shrine is going to be very nice for them to get movement around the map. And we expected it. The movement that was bot side now has FLICKR and Wiggly towards that top. Still leaving Golden Glue and Tuesday a little on their own island here, which they were getting much more love from the junglers in game one. Phil and Otto doing their best to keep ahead in CS at 133 to 118 so far.
Yep, pretty close, and no surprise if Varus laying a little bit ahead, especially the pressure. Both junglers still trying to look for an opening to break this game open through their bot lanes. And Phil kind of posturing. We'll see if they go. Fang looking for the ult.
There's one hit. TP is going to come in. Obviously, Shiro can't be stopped as he comes through. Fallen Bandit only going to go for the cannon barrage. Phil very low, a few more shots, and he could go down. And there's the reckless swing from FLICKR, Wiggly, and Otto down to 500 health combined. One last undertow, and he sinks Wiggly. 2 kills for FLICKR.
The fadeaway shot by the Olaf finds the next kill, and well-timed play by C9, knowing they had a brief window of the teleport advantage where Shiro could get involved and Fallen Bandit could not.
Woo!
As ultimate Tuesday.
Smothered the weak. Keith goes down from an ultimate as Tuesday unleashes everything.
Getting a little greedy trying to get that wave in there.
Yeah.
Getting taken down.
Much too greedy. Seems like the top side of the map with the more favorable objective, and Shelly kind of escalated this fight, pushed both teams to the brink there. And we see it now coming up into the hands of Cloud9, and we'll see how it happened all again.
Yeah, it just starts out with some poke, both teams kind of posturing, and Fang says we have the TP advantage, they're a little far forward, let's start this fight off, knowing that they're going to be able to win it. There's the GP ult, but at this point people just keep running forward through it. Nice wall stun by Shiro, they get the first kill. Almost gets the knock up onto Otto, gets it on Wiggly instead, so they'll still find this kill after the flash.
Huzzah!
Axe, and then Tuesday, everyone's kind of leaving. Keith's like, I got to get this wave in so that I can get a nice recall timing off, and then walks up for a little bit of damage on the turret. Overkill to the max.
And that's exactly what you need at this point, because without that, Otto would have the only kill. Tuesday might be not that much closer to his next item spike, and that's what they need Syndra to be doing in the mid lane, as the map is being controlled by Cloud9. So huge plays from the guy we usually see kind of on the tanks, on the support, looking out for other people.
Yeah, and they will see 2,000 gold lead developing for C9, and this is what we were kind of talking about in the last game where CLG had a massive kill lead, but the gold didn't quite support it. This time around, C9, with both teams having no turrets down, have that already through the kills and through the CS advantages. See a little extra gold on the jungler. Olaf being a faster paced jungler. A little bit extra CS on Fang of all people. Picking up a lot probably with his Q spam, stealing some from Keith, so he looks down CS, but a lot of that's just on the Gragas.
It's gonna be nice, as long as he doesn't push the lane too much. Routing the outside of the first inner turret. FLICKR's gonna be able to put the pressure down. Shiro says, hi, Tuesday. Yeah, it's a 3v1. You cannot do too much around this turret. They may not have the minions to take it down, though. Armor's back up, but they still have the last few swings to safely take it down. Traded by Otto as well on the top side of the map. So turret for turret as the map opens up, but first turret blood to C9.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
That's the case right now for both of these teams, and C9's trying to prove that from their game 1 loss.
Yeah, they got a lot of proving to do, as they came in again as a favorite this entire postseason.
Yeah. Had
the most convincing win, you could say, of the playoffs so far. It was the only series not to go to a full 5 games. They went 3-1. So, you know, they are expected to win some games, probably win this series. Game 1 did not go according to plan.
Ooh, a fight onto an unstoppable FLICKR, and Ragnarok is on. They quickly go for Tuesday to take him down. Scatter the Weak doesn't hit just enough, but they are able to turn 1 kill onto Keith. FLICKR's down as the DPS is basically out of the fight. Golden Glue has to be close, and so does Fang to add that in, and they don't have the distance to get near Otto.
Pretty nice reaction by CLG. That was basically a 4v4. C9 was picking off. They're not going to be able to get involved in Fallen Bandit's ultimate's back up, so they're able to win that one 2-for-1. Maybe could have been a 2-for-0. Hold on here. Phil forced a flash, and Golden Glue follows.
The wall. He's good for 1 kill. Can he get another one? Golden Glue saying that as well. If you can do it, I can do it better. Sees Tuesday taking out a member of his team. Gets a retribution back. 6-4 now. 17, just 18 minutes on the clock. And we are going punch for punch on the Rift currently. Still, C9 Shiro and CLG Fallen Bandit go for it in the side lanes.
Yeah, Golden God stepping up finding stragglers at the end of a fight. Also found the 1 kill in that fight. Some really nice shooting on the rise.
Putting on the scrim brain.
Yeah, I was able to kind of angle it past the team. Someone on CLG might have been able to step up to body block that, but everyone was too focused on the kills. You'll see it here. FLICKR going a little aggressive, I would say. Maybe charging into four people is a little excessive. They know the Syndra has no flash and they want to finish him off, but there's a lot of defense. And then watch here. Otto might have been able to body block that Q to stop it from going through and killing Tuesday, but they were over-focusing on getting their own kill down. So there was the first kill by Golden Glue, who then afterwards, CLG making a similar mistake that Keith made, where they say, all right, we won the fight, let me push this minion wave in, and they say, oh, you can't do that carefully.
Seeing a few of those historical plays versus FLICKR kind of making up for game 1, being more aggressive, finding the ins, making sure that fights are happening, but maybe escalating things too fast for the team to respond at this point. Here, they kind of enter a bit of the same way, but don't have just the defense on the turret. A nice hit onto Otto with the cast coming in from Fang, but that's a big ability down. Now Ragnarok is down in defense here for C9 as they continue to try and stop CLG. CLG are calling the bluff.
I mean, both teams have a lot of decisions around a play like that. CLG have very strong siege tools, a lot of abilities to fish for a potential dive. You can land a Syndra stun, a Varus ultimate, a Sejuani ultimate. You can decide to actually commit that into a dive, but they have to be careful when against Gragas, who has that big ultimate to knock people in before you're ready to go. And there you saw Fang look for it, but Otto is still pretty safe. And then there was the ulti trade between Sven and Wiggly. Overall, I do like that trade because you have other skills that can start that fight, and Sven loses his biggest ability to start a fight. If Ragnarok is not up for Olaf, he is not a champion. Straight up.
It is very, very true. He's no longer that ticking time bomb, kind of past 40 minutes. Olaf is unstoppable. He has his problems, especially if you can't get big. Shiro's getting hit up. Keeper's Verdict should keep him alive. Yeah, very nice. He clears this wave quickly. So with CLG putting a lot of pressure towards bottom, what can Cloud9 put in the works?
I like the decision by Sven to kind of go for just, Tuesday's got to be a little careful.
A little help from Phil. Ultimate is on. No, Ultimate's not on for him, so he'll be safe. Thought he threw it out there to keep him ultimately safe. FLICKR moves towards mid. They just can't find a way in. They have control of the jungle. It's not doing them that much good just yet. CLG's playing around it well.
Yep, I like the CLG being able to protect that inner turret, but I still like what C9 is trying to do here.
Absolutely.
Golden Glue at 201 is fairly strong, and so they're splitting him into 131, which is not really where Syndra wants to be. And then using FLICKR's pressure to threaten a dive, and even if you don't stop the dive, Olaf has a lot of attack speed, and so you see him just kind of like wailing on these turrets. And Tuesday can't quite pressure. CLG, mid lane, don't have the pressure. Bot lane, they do, but it's a GP and they try to gank for him, and you saw that Poppy was able to live through that just easily enough.
And this is kind of what we expect from C9. We saw this last game, but the Akali wasn't that high enough to split push. They always kind of go to this formation where the Golden God can get into that scrim brain mode, and he just overtakes a lane.
Yeah, and I think Galio is a lot better at matching in a side lane than Syndra ever will be, and so you see the difficulties of when an Olaf starts wrapping around the turret, a Syndra gets terrified. Galio says, like, come at me, bro. I got my taunt, I got my Q and my E. I'll make this difficult for you. But here, you know, if Syndra's under the turret, that dive is going to happen.
Pink Vision in mid. Looking for a possible glacial prison here. Again, this is one of those moments where the teams know we haven't fought in a long time. Full summoner spell fights coming up, basically for everyone. You have a few seconds left onto Golden Glue, but that will be expected. So core items now to be used. You're kind of in that moment where I wonder how much damage my next attack's going to do now that I've itemed up. And everybody's kind of chomping at the bit. A little more gold for those core items to be funneled into Counterlogic Gaming as they drop, I believe, that last outer turret on the map. Yes, mid is mid.
There we go. CLG getting the gold league back to 1,500. And I'm curious to see where the game goes from here. I think the scaling is relatively close. There's a really nice front line for C9, and I do like the Kai'Sa and the Ryze a lot. Probably more than the Syndra and the Varus. The other team does have a GP who's a late game team fighting god. So the scaling's a little up in the air, will come down a lot to execution, but I think one thing we saw in the previous game was once the game hit 25, 30 minutes, CLG kind of flipped a switch in their mind and started brute forcing plays around the mid and the Baron. And so even though they're down a little bit of gold here, I'm going to wonder if that mentality is still going to overtake them once they feel like they have enough tankiness and stats to actually threaten the Baron.
I liked one thing that Medio said about CLG's composition last time as well, is it was almost, you know, selfless, or not selfish as well, yeah. And that it helped everybody out. Everybody kind of played a part for someone else on the team as well. And you kind of can get that out of any team, but seeing a Gragas as your support, he's not going to shield you, he's not going to do much. He's going to try to bump somebody at you for a kill. So not as much help as well in the synergistic kind of abilities between C9's roster in that sense.
Yep, CLG is also a little bit more greedy. A Syndra and a GP are definitely, I'm going to stay in my lane.
Oh yeah, definitely a little more greedy this game.
Uh-oh, GP in trouble.
Fallen Bandit. Not Mundo this time. Cannot throw the ultimate quick enough. Cannon Barrage just going to tickle the members of Shiro and Svenskeren on C9 as they make their way out with a kill. Kind of the first time C9 has relieved a bit of that pressure. They'll be able to push the waves forward and maybe move some of those wards as well.
Yeah, GP is a bit of a threat to gank past 20-ish, 25 minutes where he can potentially 2v1. But this is a 0-1-1 at the time GP against a 2-1-3 Olaf. You know, you see Olaf actually has more gold than the GP, which is something you don't see very often. So yeah, that's hard to turn that 2v or 1v2 when you're actually behind in gold from the enemy's jungler. Here they start pressuring around the Baron, maybe starting to look at that as where they want to get back into the game. I think this is what I was saying, is I was really impressed by CLG's teamwork post 25, 30 minutes. We'll see if they can do that again.
It's really not leaving any of these decisions up to chance. Oh, that's a quick hit. It's the root onto Otto, but he gets himself to safety very quick. A nice null shield as well, but he still goes down to the hands of Svenskeren as Cloud9 bite down and attack immediately. Even Keith was to the back line for a sure fight.
Yeah, everyone was on the same page there about killing Otto. Svenskeren, I think, got the final, through his axe, got the final kill. Almost died, so it was kind of a risky situation there, but Fallen Bandit was a little late on the TP, could not get involved, and also had no ultimate to contribute from the gank in the bot side, but CLG is still hungry for blood.
They could definitely rout Shiro here. That's a kill that's easy. Svenskeren could Ragnarok out of the fight. No, actually, that's down for him, as now they start to lose Shiro. C9 felt safe on the map with one member of CLG down, and now have a scatter that does not help them. The chaos in favor of CLG.
Yeah, on the flip side, though, C9 did break away at the end of that fight to get back into the minion wave, so Golden Glue will actually be able to work this turret down, still being able to trade up. But it is a little concerning for both these teams that every time they win a fight, they get a little loosey-goosey on the way out.
A lot of kind of afterthoughts that are happening here that kind of should be the forethought. Hey, we're going to be having Golden Glue push top. Try not to die in mid.
Yeah.
Losing people reduces that pressure for Golden Glue. So while one turret goes down, fantastic for C9 in this game too to keep it alive. Things are a bit touch and go right now.
Yeah, but they have to be careful. CLG does not realize C9 never left that bottom jungle.
Oh, there's the cast they were looking for. An unselfish play to give one to Golden Glue on the side of C9.
Really nice play around vision and understanding what CLG would want to do. C9 finishes pushing the top lane, finishes a fight. CLG's thinking, okay, they're going to go back. I'm going to be able to push the top wave, but C9 actually stick around, continue to have vision control on the top side, and convert that into another kill. And with that, they might start pressuring down onto the Baron. They still have 20 seconds to decide what they want to do.
I just realized Fang is 0, 0, and 7 on this Gragas. Perfect support play coming in from this guy.
He was on the Alistar last time, and if you're going to engage on Alistar, you go in and you don't have a way out. You just hope your team wins the team fight, and they were not winning as many team fights last game. This time, Fang is kicking a lot of these fights off with long-range Gragas ultimates, just trying to insect in some ways people back into his team, and I think that is working a lot better for C9 here, the fact that they have a less commitment from their engage attempts.
And when you have that rise there, it's basically an alley-oop into permanent crowd control because you're going to kill someone so fast. So really cool to see once they can lock down that combination. That's going to hurt. Doesn't look like Shiro likes the damage he's taking right now. Keeper's verdict is swinging, but he doesn't release. And the verdict is that you are dead, sir. 6-9 as CLG Academy still feels strong enough to push forward. That's the second time we've seen Ragnarok used in defense as a reactive play here from Cloud9 as they are going to lose their mid turret. Just a second ago, we were on the other side of the map, but Shiro went down during that Cloud9 pressure. And now CLG continue to have the upper hand after their play.
We talked about the CLG pick comp and the chains they see that they can do. You did not think, I did not think especially, that they were going to pull that attempt on a tank in a 5v5 situation, but they felt confident with their damage that they could do it, and they proved they could. A nice ultimate by Fallen Bandit as well, zoned away the backline from C9, which allowed them to isolate down onto Shiro. And that's a bit of a concern for C9, so they have to be very careful, but they're saying, you know what? You all recalled after that. We had vision of it. We're going to force this Baron.
What a play! You're going to get Auto out of this. He's going to try to put a piercing arrow, a hail of arrows over the wall. He fires through. It does not count, and it's going to be Baron for Cloud9 Academy. They're going Killer Instinct. Keith is in for the kill onto Auto. Do they follow on to Tuesday, or are they good with their advantage? And rightfully so, back off just to gain more.
Yeah, they all recalled in vision of C9. That's a complete no-no in League of Legends. If the enemy team is on the map, all 5 of you cannot possibly leave it. C9 see that and use the Rise ultimate very well to start that Baron off. Auto TP's in, but you can see he has absolutely no threat really on the Baron. Just tries to shoot a piercing arrow over, and C9 grab the Baron buff and a kill on the tail end of that.
Gotta say, Academy is where we've seen a lot of those realm warps that make some big plays for the teams. Now we have a few coming in from Golden Glue to bring the team up to Baron, and they will be able to wreak havoc on the rest of the map. Mid fell, now bottom is going to fall, and they just have so much power right now as they head onto the inhibitor turrets.
They have to be careful. I don't think C9 wants to stay too split up. We saw how quickly CLG can decide to ultimate one target and continue to lock that person down.
Glacial Prison is up. FLICKR doesn't get hit. They know Ragnarok is there. Wiggly taking a lot of damage from the Reckless Swing as well. No resistance is big enough to stop that coming from the heavens. And C9 flex their muscles now on the mid turret, knowing the second tier mid is the only one standing between them and Counter Logic Gaming's base.
Yeah, C9 going to back off here. They still have 2 minutes on the Baron buff. They're not going to get too greedy. They've worked down everything but the base inhibitors. And here we see it's a great decision. They saw everyone recall. They have wards behind them in that top jungle that they've never cleared out. And so Auto TP's in, but Wiggly's not nearly close enough by. Fang goes over the wall, makes sure that Blast Gun's not going to do anything, but it doesn't even matter. And then Shiro, Auto's trying to get back over to the side of Tuesday, but Shiro just blows him up, and Keith has the Killer Instinct to kind of sync up with the Poppy on that play. And now it's a 5,000 gold lead.
Very quick. And now it's the question in game 1 was if CLG gets a lead, can they hold it? And can C9 come back? Now it's switched. Can C9 hold their lead? They've been in that position a lot. So it would mean a lot if CLG were able to come back. It's so back and forth right now. Fang dodges out, gets a cleanse on that, and it looks like they'll be safe for now as the Keeper's Verdict is used. Righteous Glory as well, we see wearing off onto Phyllis. FLICKR goes forward, under toe. Hits onto Wiggly, but they cannot get the wave of C9 to follow forward. Wards to the left and the right with alteration, so they have vision of those shoulder areas and they don't get flanked. Everything. And CLG is in front of them for a 5v5.
And now, with that ultimate down, C9 feel a little bit more emboldened to push forward and try and grab this turret. Finish off the last inner.
Pressure over from Tuesday onto Golden Glue on the top side. It's almost like C9's ready to say, if you will take that fight, we will take that fight before the turret. They'll be able to get it now as CLG has to back off. They have to concede anything outside the base. Now is the time for ultimate defense for Counter Logic Gaming.
Right, at the end of this Baron buff, if you still have all your inhibitor turrets and inhibitors left up, you gotta say that's not the worst thing that could have happened.
Very true.
And you will take that after you made a bad map play to lose a Baron buff.
10
Gold lead swelled, but as long as your base is still intact, you don't have to worry about Golden Glue solo pushing in and super minions. I think you're not too upset.
You know, I feel this is the part where it kind of feels good too. When they're waiting for a minion wave, things aren't in line. They're not in place where C9 wants them. That won't stop them from taking a fight. Fallen Bandit has to flash out. Scat of the Week goes back and hits Shiro as Phil is right in the middle. And it's going to be as FLICKR out of the fight with low health already. And Keith is coming out of Zanya's almost dead, but he lives. No! Parlay from Bandit as he wants to speak to your leader. Keith goes down and CLG hold the base.
The C9 5v5 posture around the mid lane. They thought they were going to get onto Fallen Bandit, but that GP is pretty slippery. Also finishing up his Steric's Gauge makes it a little hard to kill him, able to get out of that fight. And then Keith, too far forward, never really found an opportunity to take a Killer Instinct onto anybody. He gets focused down through his Zhonya's Hourglass, going for this AP build. Taking a look at this, Fallen Bandit getting focused down, slowed. The Gragas ultimate puts him back, but the oranges and flash out is good. And then you can see, once again, plenty of damage for CLG to focus down frontline, but Keith walks a little bit too far forward, and the root from the Varus ultimate spreads over to him, which allows Fallen Bandit to get back onto him and actually get a Q off, and the parlay and in the final hit. Got to be a little bit more careful about when you step forward on that Callista, or Kaisa pick.
Yep. Undertow just misses. Phil, he's going for a wild goose chase here. Fang and Svenskeren on him. They'll go to the right side, flashes, but the Realm Warp is going to be right on top of Wiggly and Otto. The hits come back. Otto is the target, and he goes down with a reckless swing from Svenskeren. The fight from Phil and Wiggly come in. Now it's a 4v3 situation, and Cloud9 have to reassess as they go for Phil. Unbreakable's about to wear off, and Svenskeren comes through again as he smites him down. A beautiful stopwatch keeps Svenskeren alive and gives Keith time to get in the fight. Fallen Bandit is going to be the next target as they lose Fang in a 2-for-1. The pressure is stopped for the inhibitor turret, but C9 continues to try and suffocate Counterlogic Gaming.
Would have been a 2-for-2 if that stopwatch was not available by Svenskeren. Great bait by him.
Fingers.
But the fact is, CLG Academy with this GP have an extra carry threat. And in a two-man carry comp, if you kill theirs and your two are still up, great, you've won the fight. With the fact that GP is still alive, they still have enough damage to trade back, and so Fang gets finished off. But it was still a great attempt by CLG, forcing flashes, getting resources out of the enemy carry, and still finding the kill. Yeah, great flash by Fang getting over the wall. And then here, Wiggly trying to bait for the collapse. Fang takes a bunch of damage from the GP and the Syndra. Can't quite feel as confident walking forward. Svenskeren gets the smite execute to finish him off. Dodges a ton of abilities, and Fang has to go in to keep him alive. And Fallen Bandit, there we see, just so tanky, so much damage. Just barely able to live through the AP Kaisa burst.
Steric's Gauge Rage going off at just the right time. TP in, it's going to be right to the mid lane, so this is under vision. They'll be able to see. They say Otto's teleport is in. Doesn't mean too much. Obviously, he's to the fight, but he won't be a surprise later.
Yep, just wanted that for the tempo. Didn't have to want to run all the way out of the base when your team wants to bait vision control like they are doing here. C9 kind of respecting it, backing off.
Look, it's just a little old Tuesday with an entire team behind him. Did Fang really want that fight? He gets scattered back on the shove forward. Fallen Bandit very low along with Otto, and Tuesday's running out of the fight. C9 seem to have this one locked up, but wait, there goes Fang, and it looks like Otto will fall after CLG's backing. They're looking for more attacks, but they're not able to find it, and yes, C9 has turned the fight on its head. Plasma just misses from Keith as they still want it. Tuesday's looking for the ultimate attack. Oh, no, Otto doesn't take him down. A sliver of health for Keith. There's so many sliver of health, the skin of their teeth. Teeth must be falling out at this point. Punch for punch, both teams going back and forth, and this one's going coast to coast. If they get minions in the mid lane, Cloud9 is already pushing inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, Cloud9 with Keith looking to actually end the game while they're getting stalled out with the remaining members. Golden Glue finds him after getting kited for a little bit. The fourth kill of the fight, and there's no way for Syndra to get out of here. I think this is actually the game. 10 seconds left on Otto. They might not be able to finish.
Tuesday running left and right, trying to find his way back home. They take the mid turret, and they're going to let those minions pour in. If they stay onto one Nexus turret, it could go down. But they are not going to let Tuesday get back. They say one more Tuesday off the map is another 45 seconds, that it's 5v4 and we have the advantage. It looks like they might just try to find him.
Yep, gonna try Shiro regenning back up. Not actually too scared about that.
Oh,
here's Keith.
That's a dangerous in.
I don't know if you want that.
That's a dangerous in.
Oh, the stopwatch.
Sonya's. And it does it. Tuesday stays alive. Although the burn and the minion attack coming through. Very nicely done.
In the meantime, Svenskeren and Fang start off this Baron buff with the help of Golden Glue. They're gonna be able to grab that one at the tail end of the fight and the mid lane inhibitor. Very crazy back and forth situations, but C9 consistently comes out ahead. Up 10,000 gold now with a significant control on the game with the map pressure that they have.
This is one of those games. You're just not sure what's going to happen next, but fight is for sure.
That Gragas ultimate was huge, puts Fallen Bandit in the middle of the team, and kind of puts all of CLG into disarray. If CLG are able to isolate a single target and drop all their damage down, they can insta-kill someone. But when Gragas splits up the whole team, even if you're not really making it super obvious who you get to kill either, your team kind of fights the scrappier, more skirmish-focused team comps a lot better. Golden Glue will win his one-on-one. Keith will win his one-on-one. If it's all 5v5 focusing down a single target, CLG have probably the advantage in that situation. But if you split it up, obviously C9 are going to be able to win their single target fights, and there you see what happens.
Spence Garen feeling like maybe a little that game. Wow, game one was him. 6-1-5 this time on the Olaf, and he has also been running headfirst into a few of these fights, but team behind him, and they're ready to go in.
Oh,
now Phil going in, are they ready? There goes the Glacial Prison as well, and locked up forever. Fang goes down. He has been a huge initiator for the fights for Cloud9. Now they have to walk it in, find a rune prison that isn't given to them, or if we can see Keith on the killer instinct for the shock and awe. Bottom lane inhibitor turret is about to go down. Mid's already fallen as CLG look like they want to bite back. Phil's back onto Golden Glue now. Unstoppable Spence Garen goes down, but he'll come back up on GA. Keith is focusing the bottom turret as he says, team fight. I'm going to focus the objective. They may also lose Shiro here, but the team wants to back in a realm war. Will put them to safety with 2 inhibitors down inside of CLG's base.
Not the cleanest play, but I think C9 takes it, finishing off the bot lane turret and inhibitor.
It's like Chaos is boss this game.
Yeah, no one can quite get control of this game. And that was a great play by Phil to find that little nook to hide behind and get the Hex Flash over the wall onto Fang, who I wanted to talk about this earlier. Going the QSS was, I think, a really smart decision with how these team fights were going, starting with random Varus ultimates or Sejuani ultimates, not getting changed.
Yeah, you're the one up there wanting to throw it all.
Right, so I think it was an intelligent situation where you have enough other tanks, you don't need to prioritize that, make sure they can't engage onto you, and that helped them out a couple times. But once again, there's so many tools available, it only helps so much, and that time still gets turned around now. Now they're onto this Elder.
Phil again, auto getting Keith in a 1v1. At the end of the fight, can't get the killer instinct to reactivate. Plasma just missing on the backside of his coattails as they are about to lose Phil. Possibly Wiggly, unless Tuesday can turn the fight around, but he puts himself in such a precarious position. The team's able to get themselves now in that spot and make it safe to fight.
Golden Glue's ending the game.
They get out, yeah, Golden Glue's been doing a whole bunch in the base. Second Nexus turret about to fall here as he is 1v1ing Fallen Bandit, and the rest of the cavalry is forced back to the castle to save the ramparts.
Yeah, but during that time, C9 pulling CLG apart will actually start off the Elder Drake for themselves. Keith, the main DPS source, untouched through all of that, so he's actually going to be able to bring enough damage to get this. C9, despite the advantages of this game, actually never picked up an Elemental Drake, so a pretty minor burn, all things considered, but you want to get it off the map. Baron buff is expiring in 3 seconds, so just make sure there's nothing for CLG to somehow get in their favor.
Compared to game one, C9 look shiny, they feel shiny at this point, and they are about to take this game with strength, unless just some type of move, an error has to be made here, especially with this type of gold lead and the power C9 is about to bring inside the base.
Double super creeps in every lane.
Yeah,
Heroes got TP up, they're grouping up to start getting these in, and I think with the Elder Drake burn, C9 can kind of just escort these waves onto the Nexus turret that's still standing and most likely win the game off of that. I don't know if they'll need another Baron buff. CLG are going to have to find someone that they can isolate on and start a fight.
Bottom wave is cleared quickly so they can focus on members. An inhibitor coming back up feels good to fight around for CLG if they can just get the fight they want as the members pinch through the stairwell. Doesn't look like they can actually take it there. And letting the inhibitor fall. What is their target? Who is their target as time coming so close to an end here with minions pushing inside the base? A good spread, causing more chaos in the fight. Golden Glue onto Auto, and Fang is right back there to take him down as well. A lot of the DPS is gone, but they lose Golden Glue immediately, and Phil falls for the side of Counter Logic Gaming. A 3v4 as CLG try to hold strong in their base. A Nexus turret with a 5th of health left, and it's going to be the target, along with the members of Counter Logic Gaming. C9 want to keep this series very much alive. They're going to come out strong in game 2, and they are going to come out on top with a second game win.
Tie up the series 1-1. C9 Academy was not clean, but they find the win that they need. Super scrappy game. Both teams forcing the issue all over the map. But at the end of the day, C9 always came out just slightly ahead, able to grab more Barons.
There we go. Now we got a best of 3. Let's see who can do it.
Best of 3.
And then best of 1 all the way to game 5. It's always 0-0, right, Mark?
Minus the times when
It's
whoever
not.
wins game 1 and 3 have an advantage in the series. But yeah, to your point.
And this is exactly what you want to see in a series, that one team can turn around. A game doesn't kind of stay with them as they move through, but also I think we saw Cloud9 kind of adapt, and both teams had to like extra adapt this game. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think what C9 mostly did was the right decisions, that they went for a little less of an assassin play style, wanting a lot more scaling threats, as well as still compensating in the early game with the Olaf pick to make sure they reach those kind of late games. I thought that was all really smart. I like what CLG went for again. They had the scaling advantage with the GP. We saw that did help a fair amount in some of those team fights where Auto would die or something, but I think Golden Glue had a great game, was able to find a lot of kills in skirmishes and team fights, and then start splitting the map to give C9 pressure. As well as I think Keith had a better game, was able to get a lot of damage off in a lot of those fights, and wasn't easy though. CLG was always looking for their own opportunities.
Absolutely. Big ups to Tuesday for kind of trying to be that playmaker in some points of the game, putting himself forward, trying to get in some precarious positions to make the plays happen. But C9 definitely had their number here in game 2. So for now, more on how C9 tied up that series. Let's check in with our guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Riv. Just 3 guys here talking about the fact that Cloud9 managed to tie up the series there. Another interesting one where bot lane kerfuffles seem to go badly for C9. This time around, though, some cool stuff coming out of the Olaf. Svenskeren came around, had a 2-level lead at one point with that champion. We had Poppy versus Gangplank. Gangplank's supposed to be like a super hard counter in that lane as well. So what kind of stood out to the two of you in far as the draft and the champ select went?
This game was really back and forth pretty much, like just so much scrapping that it's going to be hard to talk about everything. But
Sure.
I thought that both teams had like fairly solid comps in the draft. I liked what C9 did a little bit more by they kept flexing their picks. Like they took an early Gragas, which most people is going to assume it's jungle, so that CLG picked Sejuani into it, which is a pretty normal response. Then they ended up picking up Olaf and Poppy. So there was just so many flexes that CLG didn't really know what they were going up against at any point. And like you said, the GP pick, that's actually supposed to be a really hard Poppy counter. Like the reason that top laners don't want to blind pick Poppy is because of the GP pick. But maybe Fallen Ban is just not as proficient on GP as some players. And he was actually like down CS, getting pressured. He died to a gank. So it didn't really seem the GP pick worked out too well for them.
Yeah, I feel like the GP needs to just play better than the Poppy, and if the Poppy plays like regularly, he'll just go even in the matchup. But that was one where Shiro was actually ahead in CS, and he bought the Ninja Tabis really early on, which was kind of an interesting choice because you're going to take a lot less damage from the GP, but 2 people on your team are taking cleanse because there's so much CC in the game, right?
And you got no tenacity on one of the only frontliners against Syndra and Sejuani.
There was definitely a period of time where he was just getting killed repeatedly, like at the red buff, the pick that somehow ended up with C9 getting Baron.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
But yeah, it's definitely hard to not have merch reds against a team with that much lockdown. You know, you got Sejuani, Syndra, Varus, Alistair. Like, you don't get to move without tenacity.
Yeah, and just like kind of putting the GP into the whole composition because it was last picked here for Counter Logic Gaming. I feel like the bottom lane focus is kind of what CLG is going for here, right? They even picked the Galio last game, which can help them. The double TPs to the bottom lane. It's the lane where they have the most synergy advantage over Cloud9, right? We've talked about Fang and Keith haven't been together for like, I would say like maybe 3-4 weeks tops.
Sure.
So that's one that you have a year plus experience over as a duo. So camping that lane, I think, is like your ticket to victory.
Otto renamed himself to keep playing with Phil.
That's
right? Like,
true,
that's
actually.
that's how you know the synergy's on point.
But despite that, I feel like the GP didn't operate in the way that they kind of wanted it to. It would be more just keeping pressure on bottom side of the map with teleport as well as having your ultimate. And this felt like one where Fallen Bandit, Mundo's up, you can play a different tank, you can go even with the Poppy, play for team fights. You have a Varus on your team, which loves having more frontliners.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something where if you felt like the GP wouldn't win the matchup hard enough and wouldn't affect the bottom lane hard enough, then it's not something that you should have picked in retrospect.
Sure, yeah. So we can move on. Or sorry, do you want to add?
Oh, I was just going to add on a little bit that I do think that CLG is playing bottom side pretty well.
Yeah.
But like they were able to stop Cloud9's first gank, but it seemed like they just didn't really have the support they needed. Like if you have Sejuani into Olaf, that's a hard jungle matchup early because Olaf, he's so much stronger and he clears so much faster than Sej. So like you saw, like on the, I think, second skirmish bot lane, Olaf was 6 and Sejuani was 4. Granted, still went CLG's way, but imagine if Olaf wasn't 6. Like, he would have been dead for sure. So,
Which made like C9's draft pretty good because they went for the Gragas themselves and flexed it around, right? So they took away the champion that Wiggly was popping off in last game without having to ban it, but flex it around the map. I thought that was really cool too.
Definitely was. So let's get ourselves into our first replay of this game. It was actually fairly far into this one. The game was neck and neck for a while, but about 30 minutes in, and it starts with CLG getting this pick. We talked about Ninja Tabby, Poppy just being hard crowd controlled, rooted, got to live for about 8 seconds, and then drops.
got to move for about 0 seconds.
Yeah. Started playing Ultimate.
I saw him squirm there for a second. You got a little bit of that feet movement going.
This was actually really, I don't know if it was a macro call for sure, whether it was C9 having an amazing play or CLG slipping up, but they just all recall here with full Baron vision, assuming that they can get back on the map.
But what's the vision from C9? C9 don't know what's going on in there. They had no vision in there.
I think they actually saw some recalls because it looks like they have a ward there at Raptors and they had the control ward behind the red buff. So I think that CLG was
Scuttles, maybe there's 2. It's a blue circle around it.
Oh, yeah,
Can't tell for sure.
You're right. That is, I think that is the scuttle for C9.
Yeah.
So having that scuttle was actually huge because then it saw people leave the pit instead of go in.
Yeah.
Even though there was 3 control wards in that area.
Yeah.
So that's actually the thing that keep it.
So instead of all of CLG walking to the pit, cleared the wards, then recalled from inside there, maybe that looks a little bit differently. But either way, that was the big play. I want to show the setup for that one because I think that's really important that CLG gets a pick, gets vision control, and gives up Baron for it.
Right, it's hard to fault CLG for that play because like you just picked Poppy. Their comms are probably going to sound something like, okay, we used all of our ultimates. Let's just like get control of this area and then take a reset, like spend our gold, get back on the map. But I mean, C9 killing Baron that fast without a Mountain Dragon is that's pretty messed up. Kaiser Rise, that's a little unfair. So it's hard to say that was a huge like oversight by CLG, but it ended up costing them really, really a lot.
Definitely was an oversight. The Realm were put into the pit, obviously very, very smart, and C9 just sort of walked over the game from that point. They had control pretty much the entire rest of the time. They took the Baron buff. They'd got maybe 3 turrets off that siege, and team fight or team fight, it felt like they would go equal to a head, and they just kind of took all the Barons on cooldown.
Yeah, it seemed like C9 had a bit of an easier to execute comp because, you know, CLG is trying to run the Gangplank, which Gangplank's one of those champions where I feel that like having a million games on him as a player really goes a long way. He's got a super high learning curve, so like an average Gangplank isn't that scary, but when you get like the Korean top laners playing Gangplank, like Someday and people like that Gangplank's scary. So maybe Gangplank not going quite as well for CLG as it could have, but
it kind of continues the trend of what kind of champions are those players good at, right? It's the idea that CNN has better individual players, but CLG have good teamwork. And if you've got a Mundo one trick running around on Gangplank, not winning lane you're supposed to win, like that is an issue when your player skill's not keeping up. You're not winning the match you're supposed to, you're not team fighting as well. We saw the Galio get banned that we wanted to see, and now on Syndra, he's had a pretty good game still Tuesday. Don't get me wrong, but maybe some more of those fights would have been turned around with the team fighters that they're more accustomed to. So I'm curious kind of what the drafts look like afterwards. C9 did pick blue side for the next game. We are going to go to the commercial break. I know we're all shocked that we're going to keep in the same sides, but the drafts will continue to innovate as time goes on. C9 Academy have tied up the series with their game win, and game 3 is coming up after the break. So don't go anywhere.
Wiggly is just on the outside. Phil with the ignite on. One last shot on the flash forward. Phil's gonna live.
Here's Wiggly.
They're gonna be able to turn it around. Otto firing the shots in, turning C9 into pin cushions.
I'm TPing. I'm just TPing.
Okay, let's jump in. Ali, no flash. Ali, no flash. Try to kill Ali if we can.
I'm going.
Just no team.
Varus, I'm on Varus.
Okay.
I'm on back.
You're gonna be good. Syndra, no stun. Syndra, I want Syndra. Nice.
Fight onto an unstoppable Svenskar, and Ragnarok is on. They quickly go for Tuesday to take him down. Scout of the week doesn't hit just enough, but they are able to turn 1 kill onto Keith. It's just a little old Tuesday with an entire team behind him. Did Fang really want that fight? He gets scattered back on the shove forward. Fallen Bandit very low along with Otto, and Tuesday's running out of the fight. C9 seem to have this one locked up, but wait, there goes Fang, and it looks like Otto will fall after.